The room was pitch black. It smelled like old dust and damp wood. Taehyung sat on the cold floor, his knees pulled tightly to his chest. His small body was trembling. The heavy wooden door clicked open, letting in a thin line of light. A sharp, cruel face appeared. It was his stepmother. Her eyes were filled with pure hatred. She stepped inside and grabbed Taehyung by his hair, pulling his head back. "Listen to me very carefully," she hissed, her voice a low, venomous whisper that scraped against his nerves. "If you make so much as a single peep while the guests are downstairs, I will make sure you don't see the sun for a week. Do you understand me? You stay here, completely silent. You do not." Taehyung could not breathe. He nodded quickly, tears streaming down his face. He pressed his lips together so hard they turned white. From the hallway,
The heavy mud-caked boots of his stepfather Mr. thudded against the linoleum. "Where is he?" the man grunted, his voice thick with the exhaustion of failing nursery business. "The winter roots need sorting in the lower greenhouse. The post is coming early tonight, and my bag is short. Don't worry about the bread." The stepmother mistaken snapped, her tone instantly shifting from threatening to bitterly venomous. "He's resting, as usual, moved his feet. He's the only one who can handle the delicate orchids without snapping the stems. Myung let him out. The stepmother let out a bitter, ugly laugh. "Why do you care about that boy so much? He is nothing but a curse. He is a heavy burden on this family. He is just a boy. He is monster," she screamed, her voice rising in anger. "Have you forgotten? It is it is because of him that my own baby died. He brought nothing but bad luck, and this voice is exactly like her. He took my child away from me. I hate looking at his face. Do not ask about him again." Inside the dark room, Tim covered his ears. The words hurt more than the physical blows. He was not a monster. He did not mean to cause any pain, but in this house everything bad was always his fault. He curled into tighter ball, weeping silently in the dark, wishing he could disappear into floorboards. In a stark contrast of suffocating gloom of the Kim household, the sprawling estate of Jeon family in Seokbuk was alive with light, warmth and aromatic scent of freshly brewed morning coffee. Kim Seok-jin sat at the head of long mahogany dining table, elegantly spreading marmalade over a piece of perfectly toasted balut. Across from him, his husband Jeon Namjoon was buried behind the morning financial papers his prof wrote as he analyzed the latest market trends. "Namjoon, Jin called out, his voice rich and melodic, carrying effortless authority of a man who ruled his household with love and sharp wit. "Put the paper down for 1 minute. I have news that will completely change the trajectory of our upcoming months." Namjoon lowered the paper, a short smile automatically tugging at the corner of his lips as he looked at his husband. "If it is about the charity gala, Jane, I already told you I will wear whichever suit matches your handkerchief." "Worse, or rather infinitely better," Jin said, leaning forward, his eyes sparkling with absolute delight. "Our eldest, our stubborn, workaholic, fiercely independent son Jungkook has finally consented to get married." Namjoon blinked, genuinely caught off guard. "Jungkook? The man who views corporate mergers as the pinnacle of romance? Are you certain he did not just mistake a marriage certificate for the shipping manifest?"
"I am entirely serious," Jin laughed, though there was a touch of relief in his eyes. "He called me this morning from the office. He said he is too exhausted to play the dating game, has no interest in scouting partners, and frankly doesn't care who it is. He left the choice entirely up to us. He said, and I quote, 'Find someone suitable, arrange the date, and I will show up at the altar.'" Namjoon let out a low whistle, leaning back in his chair. "That is incredibly dangerous of him. Does he not know his parents? We have very high standards, Jin." "And that is exactly why it's perfect," Jin said, clapping his hands together excitedly. He thinks he's washing his hands of the matter, but we are going to find him someone spectacular. Someone who isn't just looking at the Jeon family fortune. Someone pure, grounded, and capable of melting that icy corporate exterior of his. Where do we even begin? Namjoon asked, turning his tablet toward him to look at the list of eligible bachelors and bachelorettes from their social circle. The list of corporate heirs is endless, but knowing Jungkook, he will detest anyone who spends their days gossiping in high-end salons. Then we look outside the circle if we must, Jin stated firmly, his eyes fixed on the horizon. We don't need another CEO in the family, Namjoon. We have enough money to buy a small country. What Jungkook needs is a soul, a partner who reminds him how to breathe outside of a boardroom. Let the matchmaking begin. Back in the dark, dusty house, the door to Taehyung's room opened again, hours late. Taehyung was still sitting on the floor, his face stained with dry tears. His cheek was swollen and red from where his stepmother had struck him earlier. A figure walked into the room. It was Young, Taehyung's stepbrother. Young was a few years older, and to the outside world, he seemed like a normal, quiet young man. He sat down on the floor next to Taehyung and reached out a hand, gently touching Taehyung's bruised cheek. Oh, Taehyung, Young said, his voice dripping with sympathy. Look at what mother did to you again. It breaks my heart to see you like this. Taehyung flinched, pulling his head back until it hit the wall. A dark bruise was already forming along his jawline from where Myung had struck him earlier. Oh, look at that, Young murmured, his thumb brushing over the bruised skin with a tenderness that made Taehyung's stomach violently turn. Mom went too far again, didn't she? It breaks my heart to see you like this day. You're too pretty to be locked up in the dark. Taeyong kept his lips pressed tightly together. He wanted to scream, to push the hand away, but experience had taught him that any resistance only fueled Young's appetite. He remained a statue. Young's eyes darkened, the false sympathy fading into something predatory as his fingers slid down Taeyang's neck, lingering over the collarbone. You are so beautiful when you cry, you know that? Young whispered, his smile turning twisted. Don't worry, one day when mother and father are not around, I will take very good care of you. Just you and me. You know I'm the only one who looks out for you here, right? If you just behaved a little better, if you were a little nicer to me, I could protect you from her. The sound of Myung's sharp voice from the kitchen broke the spell. Young, is that brat out from under there yet? The kitchen needs cleaning. Young pulled his hand back slowly, a twisted smirk playing on his lips. Duty calls, Tay. Don't keep her waiting. You know how she gets when dinner is late. Taeyang waited until Young left the room before he let out a shaky, silent breath. He wiped his neck with the sleeve of his shirt until the skin turned raw. Getting up on trembling legs, he walked into the kitchen. At the John mansion, Jeon Jungkook was standing in the grand foyer, holding his leather briefcase. He was tall, muscular, and incredibly handsome, dressed in a perfectly tailored black suit. His expression was serious and cold, the face of a man who ruled the business world. Jin walked up to him, adjusting Jungkook's tie with loving care. So, my handsome boy, Jin said, looking into his son's eyes, are you absolutely sure about this? You are really letting us choose your spouse? You won't regret it? Jungkook sighed, looking bored. Yes, Mom, I am sure. I have 5 major business deals to close this month. I do not have the time or the interest to go on dates, fall in love, and do all that romantic stuff. I don't care who they are, what family they come from, or what they look like. Just pick someone suitable. I will marry them and provide for them. That is all. You are so unromantic, it hurts my soul. Jin groaned, shaking his head. But a promise is a promise. Do you have any preferences at all? A boy, a girl, an artist, a business person? No one special in mine, Mom. I leave the entire decision to you and Dad, Jungkook said flatly. He checked his luxury watch. I have to go. The board meeting starts in 30 minutes. Go, go, workaholic, Jin said, waving his hand. As Jungkook walked out to his luxury car, a heavy silence settled back over Taehyung's neighborhood. An hour later, Taehyung's stepfamily was dressed up, ready to attend a relative's party. Taehyung was standing in the living room, looking down at his shoes. We will be back late tonight, the stepfather said coldly. The stepmother walked over to the windows and doors, locking them securely from the outside. She turned to Taehyung, pointing a sharp finger at his face. You stay inside this house, she barked. Do not dare to open the door for anyone. Do not leave this house. If I find out you stepped 1 foot outside while we were away, I will skin you alive. Do you understand? Taehyung nodded quickly. They walked out, slamming the heavy front door, and the sound of the key turning in the lock echoed through the empty house. Taehyung was locked in. Again, the sleek silver sedan carrying Kim Sok-jin purred smoothly down the quiet winding roads of the wealthy residential district on the outskirts of the city. Jin was reviewing documents on his tablet when the car suddenly sputtered, the engine giving a low, protesting groan before dying completely. The chauffeur steered the vehicle to the side of the road, the hazards blinking against the darkening sky. What seems to be the problem, Han? Jin asked, peering out the window. I apologize, Mr. Jeon. It seems to be an electrical failure. The dashboard is completely dead. I will call for a replacement vehicle immediately, but it may take 45 minutes to an hour for them to reach us out here, the driver explained, looking stressed. Jin waved his hand elegantly, dismissing the apology. Don't worry about it, Han. It's a lovely evening. I'll step out and stretch my legs while we wait. The air out here is fresh. Jin opened the car door and stepped out onto the quiet tree-lined street. The neighborhood was quiet, characterized by large estates hidden behind high stone walls and wrought iron gates. He walked slowly down the sidewalk, enjoying the cool evening breeze. As he neared a particularly neglected looking estate with an overgrown garden, a faint sound caught his attention. It wasn't a human voice, but the soft, high pitched mewing of an animal. Jin stopped, looking through the gaps of the rusted iron gate. Sitting on the cold stone steps of the servants' entrance to the house was a young man. He was wearing an oversized, faded grey sweater that swallowed his thin frame, and his dark hair fell softly into his eyes. In his lap sat a small, scruffy stray calico cat. The young man was gently stroking the cat's fur, his fingers moving with an incredible, innate gentleness. What struck Jin the most was the boy's expression. In the dim light of the street lamp, his face possessed a striking, ethereal beauty, but it was marred by a profound, haunting sadness. He wasn't speaking to the cat, but his large, expressive eyes spoke volumes of a deep, quiet loneliness. Hello there, Jin called out softly, loath to startle the serene scene. The young man flinched, his head snapping up, his wide, doe-like eyes locked onto Jin, filled with an immediate, defensive panic. He instinctively pulled the cat closer to his chest, his body tensing as if he were prepared to run or take a blow. Oh, please don't be frightened, Jin said quickly, his voice softening into his warmest, most paternal tone. My car broke down just up the road. I was just taking a walk. That's a very beautiful cat you have there. Taeyang stared at the elegant older man. He didn't answer, he couldn't. He merely pressed his lips together, his heart racing. Before Jin could say more, a voice called out from the alleyway. Taehyung, Taehyung, where are you? A young man with bright, messy hair and a worn leather jacket ran up to the gate. It was Park Jimin, Taehyung's only friend from the neighborhood, the son of a local grocer who occasionally smuggled food to him. Jimin took one look at Jin's expensive clothes and then at Taehyung's panicked state. He immediately stepped between them, shielding Taehyung. Madam, is there a problem? My friend? He doesn't speak well with strangers. No, no problem at all, Jin said gently, her eyes still fixed on Taehyung, who was peeked out from behind Jimin's shoulder. I was just admiring his kindness. He has very beautiful eyes. Jimin's expression softened slightly. Yes, he has the kindest soul in the world. Come on, Tai, let's get you inside before you know. Jimin guided Taeyang back toward the house. Taeyang looked back over his shoulder once, his large eyes locking with Jin's. Jin stood at the gate for a long time, even after the boy had disappeared into the shadows of the old house. Her heart was racing, not with fear, but with a profound sense of certainty. Namjoon, Jin whispered to herself, pulling out her phone with trembling fingers. I found him. I found the one. The clock in the grand hallway of the Kim residence chimed 11 p.m. Myung and Mr. Kim had returned early from their banquet, cut short by an unexpected business cancellation. They were sitting in the living room, sipping tea and discussing financial investments when the heavy brass knocker on the front door rang out, echoing sharply through the quiet house. Myung frowned, looking at his watch. Who could that be at this hour? Mr. Kim opened the front door, his annoyed expression instantly turning into shock. Standing on the porch were Jeon Namjoon and Kim Seokjin, two of the most powerful and influential figures in the country's upper echelon. Mr. and Mrs. Jeon, Mr. Kim stammered, instantly bowing low, his corporate instincts kicking into overdrive. What an incredible honor. Please, come inside. Had I known you were visiting, I would have prepared. No need for formalities, Mr. Kim, Namjoon said, his voice calm, steady, and commanding as he walked into the house, Jin standing elegantly by his side. We apologize for the unannounced visit at such a late hour, but my husband insisted that this matter could not wait until morning. Mian rushed forward, her eyes widening in recognition and greed as she saw the prestigious guests. Please sit down. Let me get you some refreshments. We won't be staying long, Jin said, stepping forward, his eyes scanning the home. We are here on a matter of grave personal importance. We came across your home earlier due to a car mishap. We saw a young man here, a boy with beautiful large eyes. Myung's expression froze. Her eyes darted to Kang Dae before she forced a laugh. Ah, you must mean Taehyung. Well, he's my husband's late wife's son. A very troubled child, I'm afraid. We are here to propose a marriage, Namjoon stated flatly, placing a gold embossed document on the wooden table. Between your son Taehyung and our eldest son Jeon Jungkook. The room went deathly silent. Marriage? Myung choked out, her face paling. To your eldest son? But, Mr. Jeon, you must not know the truth. Taehyung, he is defective. He cannot speak. He has been a mute since he was a child, useless in conversation, completely lacking social graces. He would be an embarrassment to a family like yours. But Namjoon didn't flinch. He looked at Mr. Kim with cold, unyielding eyes. We are fully aware of Taehyung's condition and we do not care about his disability at all. The Jeon family does not select partners based on their ability to entertain a crowd. We care for character, gentleness, and the soul. Taehyung possesses all of these. His inability to speak changes nothing for us. Myung clenched her fists so tightly her nails bit into her palms. She couldn't understand it. Why would the most powerful family in the city want that broken, useless boy? Where is he? Jin asked firmly. We would like to ask him directly. Mr. Kim, terrified of offending the Jeons and losing potential business connections, quickly signaled to the housekeeper to fetch Taeyang from his room. A few minutes later, Taeyang was led into the grand living room. He looked tiny, dressed in his worn out sweater, his eyes wide with a mixture of terror and utter confusion. He looked at his stepmother, whose eyes promised a horrific punishment later, and then his gaze shifted to Jin, the kind stranger from the gate. Jin walked over to Taehyung, completely ignoring the toxic tension radiating from the step-parents. He reached out, gently taking Taehyung's cold, trembling hands into his own warm palms.
Jin said softly, his eyes full of profound, unconditional warmth that Taehyung had never experienced in his entire life. This is my husband, Namjoon. We have a son named Jungkook. He's a good man. He's a bit old and looks too much, but he will protect you. You will never have to live in a place like this again. Tell me, dear, or do you want to marry our son? Behind Jin Myung glared at Taehyung, her jaw clenched, her eyes silently screaming a command, say no, reject, or I will kill you. Taehyung felt icy grip of fear squeezing his throat. He knew the consequence of defying his stepmother would be severe. But then he looked back into Jin's eyes. He saw a lifeline. He saw a door opening in the wall of a dark, suffocating prison. If he stayed there, he would be slowly broken down by abuse and terrifying predatory gaze of his stepbrother. Gathering every ounce of courage left in his fractured soul, Taehyung looked directly into Jin's eye. He nodded his head. Yes. Myung let out a sharp, choked gasp of horror while Jin's face broke into a triumphant smile.